If I were talking to another parent that was apprehensive about bringing their baby, to a chiropractor, I would share my success story with our youngest. Dr. Miller came to the hospital to adjust Madden, and it was great. It was really fun just to see him and to introduce our new family member to Dr. Kevin. A month had gone by, and we had a really fussy baby. He cried all the time. And I just assumed, gosh, we've never had one like this before. We just have a baby that cries. And about a month and a half had gone by. I kind of just, life got busy and I didn't make it in for the regular adjustment for Madden. And I was struggling. I was sleep deprived. My husband and I were doing everything we could to try to keep our family aligned amidst this sobbing newborn. And I walked in and the girls at the front desk said, "Oh, how is he?" And I started sobbing. I said, "It's not good." And they both said, "It's gonna be okay. We're gonna help you." And we went in for the adjustment and I explained to Dr. Miller everything that was going on. And he felt Madden's tummy and said, "Oh my gosh, his tummy is so hard. There's something going on with him." He adjusted him, he stopped crying. We went home and I sent Dr. Miller a picture that night of my newborn laying down in an inclined sleeper while we ate dinner. We hadn't had dinner without holding a crying baby since he'd been born. And I sent it to him and I said, "You are a miracle worker. I can't wait to come back." When I was getting together with some friends, they were like, "Wow, he's so calm, he's so quiet." And I always say, no, he wasn't. He is such a happy guy now, but he wasn't happy. He was miserable. And I know that without chiropractic care and without EP True Chiropractic, he wouldn't be this happy kid. I think we would be probably on the medicine cycle trying to figure out what was wrong with him. We went this natural route and it fixed him. He is a changed baby, and our family comments on it. People notice it all the time.
Quantum physics right there, working. I'm going to start out reading a list of things here. Lisinopril, buspirone, ropinirole, alprazolam, I can't even pronounce half these, so duloxetine, Welchol, zolpidem, furosemide, bisoprol, Lyrica, Xarelto, pantoprazole, oxybutynin, odenacetron, Nistop, tizanidine, ketoconazole, Rexulti. Those are medications that one patient was on, 20 different medications, and that list comes directly from the insurance company. 20 different medications. The cost for that, and this is from January 1st, 2019, for the 6 months of 2019, $21,106. That's what it cost. So $42,000 for the entire year. Just think if 10 people are on those. I mean, that's 400,000. What about 100? That's 4 million. If there's 1,000, that's 400 million. And that's what's happening in this world right now, because this isn't the only case that it's ever happened. So do you think that taking 20 different chemicals is going to get you healthy? Absolutely not. It's your responsibility to stay healthy. And like we've been talking about all morning, Dr. Nish kind of stole everything that I'm going to talk about, but because that's what health is quantum physics. It's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's 1 + 1 = 1,000. 1 + 1 = 2,000, because everything is connected in your body. And why I bring this one up is I just want to share my big why and why we want to help people, because we got this in the mail a month after sorry, after my mother-in-law passed. This was her prescription list. We knew that we had a lot of medications going on. So this is our why. So if one person this doesn't happen to, it's a win. But we don't want to stop at one. We want to get to 1,000. We want to get to 2,000, 3,000, make a massive impact. Because when we went and visited her at 64, putting her in an assisted living home, at 64 when she should, be out celebrating and retired and having fun and living on the cruise ship and not in the nursing home, but we would have to get her home, back to the nursing home, so she could take these things. And I just want to let you know that it's real life. Like, this is happening out there. And it doesn't have to be. Now, can some of these save your life in a crisis? Yes. But to be on long term, it is not going to get you where you want to go. So just sharing from my heart and why I want you guys to be healthy. Every single one of you, your family, your friends, and I know this has happened to your parents and your grandparents and other people. And it's not a fun thing to live with. We've done it, and it's not fun. So that's why we want to do it. And we want to get to people and change their lives so they don't have to go through this. It's tough on families. When my wife doesn't have both of her parents because they're lost, because they didn't know this information before. Nobody told them. Nobody brought them to an event. Nobody told them that they can get healthy, that the power is within them. They had a lot of fun, great people, amazing people, super successful people, but they're not here anymore. And that's the most important thing. My wife would give anything to have them back. And, so that's why we're going to go through this stuff today. And hopefully you're going to leave here taking action steps so you can make a change in your life. In somebody else's life. And that ball just keeps passing down. So what are your thoughts on healing? Are you stinking thinking or positive thinking? Like Dr. Nish talked about. Am I living up to my physical potential? Are you exercising? Are my habits the reason my body is toxic? Am I eating to live or living to eat? Are you getting rid of that sugar like Melissa talked about? Can chiropractic care change my life? Can you change in the nervous system change your life? And it can. If you do all things and live a healthier lifestyle, you can really make a difference. Now, my topic today is going in, and Dr. Nish set me up on a pedestal because that's what I'm going to talk about is the function of the body and the nervous system. Because the nervous system controls everything in your body. The first thing that forms when a baby is formed is the brain and the spinal cord. So we're going to break it down. We're going to get in the nitty-gritty on the cellular level of a neuron. So when you look at axons and dendrites, you see over here, right there, that's the cell body. And we talked about the cells, but then we have these dendrites that are coming off. They're fingers. And the great thing about it is you can grow more. You can grow more connections in your body in those neurons, so you can grow and you think. And all of those things, nutrition and exercise and thinking well, will grow more of those dendrites. And that's the amazing thing about the body is it can make new connections. It's all about connections, right? Life is about connections. The more people that you connect with, the happier you're going to be. And then you have this long thing right here called the axon. So that's the long nerve where it goes, and then it connects into more dendrites here. And between those axons and dendrites is a synapse. So there's a tiny, tiny space in between there. And some neurotransmitters are in there. That's where life lives, right in that space. Okay? And when you have stress, anybody have stress going on? We all do. We all have stresses going on. And when there's stress neurotransmitters released, like norepinephrine or epinephrine, that there's little vesicles that release that into the cell, and that's going to carry on to the next neuron. More of that release, more stress hormones release. But if you have happy hormones like serotonin or neurotransmitter right there, that's going to make you happy. But what happens with, one of the drugs that treats the serotonin reuptake inhibitors is a depression medication. What all that does is keeps that serotonin in your synapse longer so it doesn't get reabsorbed. Now that's not the cause of the problem. The cause of the problem is to get your body fixed, to do the 5 essentials, to live a healthier lifestyle, to put better nutrition in, to make sure your neurology is functioning better. That's the cause of the problem. You can't undo what you've done for all your life. You got to work at it. It takes hard work to make your body healthier. All of a prescription, all these is a permission to keep doing what you've been doing the rest of your life. You got to get to the cause. There's some reason why it's there. Another one is dopamine. Dopamine is like your kind of the addiction one that gives you that high. That is in there too. So all these synapses, to contract a muscle is acetylcholine is the name of that one. So if I want to go work out and exercise, acetylcholine is going to be the neurotransmitter that is in that synapse. So very, very important on understanding how those synapses work. But then how it's an electricity. Our bodies are electricity. When you have your phone, we all have cell phones, and when it drains, the power goes down, what do you got to plug it into? You got to plug it into the wall, and it recharges. The same thing with your body, and that's why we need nutrition and minerals, because how the nervous system runs is a balance between sodium and potassium. It's an electrical current that passes through these cell membranes, and if you have, like, our diets are high in sodium in the United States, so if you have a high level of sodium and you don't eat any vegetables or fruit, and you have low levels of potassium, but you go to McDonald's and have a Big Mac and French fries every single day, you're drinking Monsters, and there's no nutritional quality in those foods, that potassium or sodium is going to go way high, potassium is going to be way low. That electrical current in your body is decreased. And when that electrical current's decreased, the nerve conduction, it gets lessened, it gets dampened. So you're not going to function the way you're supposed to. So having the right amount of sodium, potassium, and that's, I believe in, if you're not eating it, you got to supplement it. You got to take something to get that body in balance and to kickstart it. So that's why we have mineral supplements to put in your body, greens to get the potassium in. So making sure that body is in balance all the time. This is, Dr. Nish talked about that cell membrane, again, that sodium potassium pump, how that balance, it's a dance, how that balance works in your body all the time. And then this, so we have those nerves, it's kind of like electrical cord. We got to have protection around that cord, and it's called the myelin sheath, and that is made up of cholesterol and fat. So we talk all the time, decrease sugar, increase fat in your diet, because this right here, that myelin sheath, surrounds the nerve. It increases nerve conduction. The better fat that you have in your body, the better that conduction is. And these things here are called the nodes of Ranvier. And those messages just jump real fast. And your body speeds up so fast, or the connection is so fast. 300 miles an hour. From my brain to my end of my finger is not a mile, so that is fast. But that's how fast and amazing the body works, the nervous system, by jumping those nerves. Now, one medication that a lot of people are on is cholesterol medication. So if you're taking a statin drug, what's that statin do? It decreases cholesterol. And when a cells need to replace, and you don't have the cholesterol to replace it, what's going to happen to the neurology? Those fat cells, the myelin sheaths, are going to demyelinate. And I know I was talking to somebody earlier about a neurogenic disease. What happens is, if you don't have enough fat in your body, and it's getting washed out through a statin drug, it's going to create nerve problems, nerve conduction problems. So having the proper amount of fat, getting oils in your body, whether it's avocado, plant-based, the raw nuts and seeds that you guys just had, even meat, grass-fed meat and beef and chicken and turkey, making sure you source that meat, that it's healthy, but also having, flax seeds and chia and those plant-based fats is very, very important. And then we get into the neuroplasticity and muscle spindles. So science right now, neuroplasticity is the huge thing, or quantum physics, it's the same thing. And how the body works. There's a scientist, a neuroscientist that I've been reading a lot about lately. Her name's Heidi Havoc. She's a neuroscientist out of New Zealand. Auckland University, I like saying that word, Auckland. I sound like a New Zealander. But she does work in New Zealand, all around the world, Turkey, Europe, United States. But what she is doing is she is measuring all of the nervous system function, so testing the neurology. She's testing athletes, she's testing kids on performance, on memory, stroke victims, all these different tests, and she's doing double-blind placebo-controlled studies where she takes a group of maybe 10 stroke victims and has them do movement, chiropractic care, all these different techniques, and watches their results, and then she has 10 stroke victims that they don't do anything or they take a medication, so they can compare the data of everything and come up with really good conclusions. And the movement, the non-medicine model, guess what? Gets so much better results. Every time it is beating any type of medication results. But how the nerve model works, this neuroplastic model, is all your joints have a thing called mechanoreceptors. And they are nerve cells that actually that go up your spinal cord, into your cerebellum, into your prefrontal cortex. So this is where thinking happens. This is where, if you're stressed, when you're so stressed, it shuts down your prefrontal cortex. So then you can't think straight. You get all kind of crazy. That happens to a lot of people. That stress level goes up, prefrontal cortex just shuts down. But how to stimulate that, one way is through exercise, movement. Movement of your joints is going to make these muscle spindles, and more specific Golgi tendon fibers, there's nerve cells in there called mechanoreceptors that talk to your brain. So your brain's eyes are in your spine, in your elbow, in your knee, in your ankle, all over your body. Proprioception is another term that it keeps you in space and time. You can feel where you're at in space and time. And those nerve cells are vital, because what happens to your spine, for example, spinal muscles, these muscles right in there, they're deep. They're called multifidi. They're deep into your spine, and that's where the magic happens. Those nerve cells, those mechanoreceptors, what happen is if they spasm up, or if they get tight, they get stretched too long, or they get weak, guess what? There's no stimulation of those Golgi tendon fibers. So it doesn't talk to your brain. It's not seeing for your brain on what's going on with your body. And those, when they're working properly, that stimulates that prefrontal cortex. It decreases the stress levels. It decreases your hormones. So just like doing the bowls earlier, that's going to decrease the stress levels in your body. Same thing with movement. That's why exercise is so important. Why your spinal health is so important, because it's talking to your brain to make sure that the brain is functioning and working clearly, creating positive feedback loops versus negative feedback loops. It's just like the breaker in your house. If the breaker gets shut down, the feedback loop's off. There's a blockage there. And that's the same thing with these. If whether it's your elbow, if my elbow is made to move this much, but it's only moving this much, there's a bad feedback loop. And we want to correct that. And one of the ways to correct that spinal problem is getting chiropractic care, so you can stimulate those nerve cells to always keep talking to your brain. And then exercise. Obviously, the more you move, life is motion. The more you move, the better your body's going to function. So what are the functions of the spinal column? The most important structure in your body. If you study it, it's an amazing piece of machinery. The first one is movement. We want to move. If I want to walk around, move that body, do squats, do athletes, swinging baseball bats or football, whatever that is, or just to go for a simple workout, do yoga. That's one of the functions, is movement. We have a whole bunch of strong muscles attached to your back to move. The other one is protection. We have to protect the most delicate nerve fiber in your body is your spinal cord. Right there, over you can see the side view. You can see that how that has curves through there. But the big block vertebrae is right here, and then in the back they're called posterior joints, and then a spinous process right there. And then right in the middle is your magic, your lifeline. And we want to make sure that lifeline is flowing up and down. There's so many tracks in here. If you look at the cross section of this, right here, it kind of looks like bunny ears. That's called gray matter, and then white matter on the outside. But there are neural tracks. It's like super highways going up and down your spinal cord, and they're different, that go to different parts of your brain. So we want those super highways clear. We don't want any accidents in there. And that's what happens when your body gets out of alignment and doesn't work correctly. So when those are functioning really good, those tracks, those super highways, they function, the healthier you are. The better your nervous system functions, the better health that you have, period. I mean, you look at, if this thing gets cut, who remembers Superman? Superman, 42 years old, fell off a horse, severs his spinal cord. He lived 7 years after that. 7 years. He aged that fast. He had to go to the bathroom on the outside of his body. He had to breathing machines, obviously a wheelchair. But his aging process sped up so much. You can see him sitting in the chair and all those tubes and everything coming out of him. And that's why if there's pressure on that nervous system, you age faster. And it doesn't function the way you're supposed to. And then the last one here is the sensory input to the brain. And the sensory input is, we think of movement and protection are the two, but the sensory component is the most important because it's positively impacting that brain all the time, the prefrontal cortex most specifically. In your upper neck, you can see a triangle of muscles. This is where we work on a lot. You guys, some of you know that the upper neck, these triangle of muscles here, they're little tiny muscles that attach your skull to your neck. So 50% of those mechanoreceptors are in your spine, and 50% of those are between C1 and C2, how your skull sits on your head. So that is so important. And all those Golgi tendon fibers where it attaches into the spine, that's where those nerve cells are at. We want to keep that as straight as possible and keep that healthy as possible so you can have constant stimulation. And then over here you can see those deep muscles into the spine. You know, just think there's 5 layers of thick muscles on the outside of that. So spinal subluxation, big word that I talk about, and I know a lot of you are patients or in my office or another office. That's incredible. Keep your spinal health going, improving. That's what's amazing. That's all we want is to keep your spinal health improving and get rid of these subluxations right here. Because when a joint gets fixated and locked up, that's when that negative feedback loop happens. And then what happens to your brain? It starts going haywire. It starts shutting down. You get a little crazy. The prefrontal cortex, and then you get a stress-induced something happens in your life. And that brain just will shut down on you. And you can't think straight. So keeping these healthy, you can see a disc space right here. There's arthritic stuff start going on. Once that bone starts going through arthritis, it's not moving as well. That's when bad things start happening. The brain doesn't work quite as well as it used to. So a healthy spine versus subluxated spine, look at the one over here. That's what we want. I mean, I've been practicing for over 18 years now, and I see it over and over again. The healthier that spine is, the healthier your nervous system works, the healthier you're going to be. The more degenerated it is, the more issues. I mean, I think I could go back and directly relate this to how many drugs they're on. I could look at a spine, not even see them, and see what their health is like. And same here. You know, when there's subluxation in your spine, it is severe. It's a severe crisis going on. So what are the warning signs? And this is where we get a ton of warning signs. Like our body tells us, we just got to listen, and we don't listen. All right? And if we do listen, then the easy thing to do, the medical model is what? Go take one of these to cover it up. Does it make sense if your red light came on in your car? Would you just cover it up with duct tape and ignore it and keep on driving? No, you wouldn't. You would do something about it. But that's what happens with our body. And we're taught that way. I grew up that way. But that's not what true health is. We want to make sure that your body's functioning and healing. 1 + 1 = 1,000 versus 1 + 1 = 2. It's a non-linear. It is quantum physics to be able to see your body function. But some of the common things that we see, constipation, the gal in the video there, she was talking about her baby. That baby's tummy was so hard and constipated and colicky. If we get constipated, what do we feel like? It's not fun. Just think what a baby does. Their only way of communication is crying and screaming because it hurts them. They just can't communicate it. And, you adjust the parasympathetic system, and Dr. Street's going to talk about that GI system, the gut health, and that is huge, and the bacteria in there, that plays a role in that vagus nerve and the parasympathetic system. But you just stimulate that on a baby, and it's almost, it can happen that fast. And I remember she sent that picture to me, and it was so awesome because that baby was just sleeping, and she said it had a big blowout too, and she had a mess to clean out. So that was bad. But headaches are another one. That upper cervical area where the picture I was talking about, what causes headaches? That is a major area right there. Numbness, tingling, coming down. If you have numbness and tingling in your arms or extremities, that is a huge sign. Do not ignore it. Go get it looked at so we can get that corrected. Sciatic, low back pain, when that pain's shooting down your leg, we know that. It hurts, it sucks, but it can heal if you get to the cause of the problem. Neck pain, dizziness, acid reflux. This one, you eat food and it comes right back up. Like, that's not normal. That's not normal. There's a problem there. Let's find out what the problem is and fix the problem. Then how do I get subluxated? How do I get these things? Football, obviously, I play football, stingers all the time, slips on ice. Be careful when you leave here. We don't want anybody doing that. Last night I was sitting there going, oh my God, this is just perfect. We have had perfect weather the whole time, and then all of a sudden this comes. Trampolines, I pulled this one up because this is a very common one. All these trampoline places around town. I get adults and kids that come in because of that, because they're jumping. Or in the summer, Adventureland is a huge one. I get that all the time. Cell phones, we all have this. We're all looking down at our cell phones. Text neck is it's a diagnosable thing now, text neck. You can see the posture. When you go forward on forward head posture, it raises the weight of your head. Look at 10 to 12 pounds, 27 pounds, 40 pounds, 49, 60 pounds by bending forward like that. And if you just take a breath when your head's down and then open up and take another breath, how much easier that is. And just think about the neural connection in your spinal cord, what it's doing inside. You can't feel that and you can't see it, but it's the most important thing. And then over here, posture, desk jobs, computer work. When you sit all day, it's going to happen. You're going to get subluxated. And then this guy right here is stress. Anybody got that? Yeah, we all do. Stress. And there's chemical stresses, there's emotional stresses, and then the physical stresses. And I'm going to have my partner, Dr. Drew, is going to come up. So Dr. Drew is going to be my model here for a second. Careful stepping up there. We'll step out here. And Dr. Drew comes from Atlanta via South Dakota, Sioux Falls to Des Moines. So he's just moving in this weekend, and we're just so excited to have him. He's going to share his amazing story because he's got it's not a pain story. It's not your typical chiropractic story, and why he is a chiropractor and why he wants to change lives. But first, I'm going to use you as a model. Is that okay? Yeah. All right. Yeah. So how do we get those subluxations? I'm just kind of some of our history. I'm going to go through. So sometimes when you play sports, you hurt your knee and maybe you blow a ligament and stuff, and you have surgery, maybe several surgeries, and you get pins put in your knee and have these problems. So if you have knee problems, you're not going to walk correctly, your hip's going to hurt, it's going to affect your lower back, it's going to affect your nervous system. Me playing football and wrestling and baseball, being a young boy, and I even had a bout with a cow. I tried to take on a cow one time when I was 6 years old, and I lost. And that's when I think all my problems started. So I had some issues. Some of you know my story, but severe atrophy in my left side, pec muscle shriveled up, tricep muscle shriveled up, and I had severe pain. I was eating ibuprofen chemicals like crazy. But you do all that when you're young, and then you get older, we go to college, and I don't know what Drew's experience was, but mine in the off season, I did a lot of dumb things, and drinking beer and chewing tobacco and all these chemical stresses going in my body. That was not good. I was, what I did at that point, but that's what we did. But the amazing thing is the body can heal and it can come back from that. And then you graduate, and then you go out and get a job, and it's probably at a desk, and you're doing this and having bad posture. Then you get married, and then you have kids, and then you don't sleep, and then you're worried about finances and work and kids and wife and everything. And then if you're like me, you have a hiccup and you go through divorce, and then it's even more stress. And then you come back, and it's just life is stress, right? Life is tough sometimes. Life is going to throw you curveballs and things that you don't expect, and it's going to hit you in the face sometime, and you got to come back. You have to get up no matter what. It's not what happens to you, it's how you respond to it. That's what life is. And that's the same thing with your health, is sometimes things are going to happen to you. But when those things happen, when I look at people in the office, I'm going to take you through kind of what we do. A lot of you already know this, but I'm going to sit down and talk with you, find out what's going on, figure out a plan, see if we can correct it. See if it is a deep nerve problem or if it's only surface muscle ligament problem. But when you come in, I'm going to look at that side. Are you like forward head posture like that? Or I'm going to look at posture. Look at those shoulders. Are you right shoulder high, out of alignment? Look at hips. And then I'm going to get in there and move that spine around, do some range of motions, get in there and palpate it and find where those subluxations are at. And then we do an EMG. So we were talking about heart rate variability. So we're measuring the electricity in the body. That's what the surface EMG is. It's just like a needle EMG, but we're just doing it on the surface, and it's a heck of a lot less painful. But if there's readings on that, like an EKG, if there's a reading on the EKG, what are you going to do? You're going to do something about it really fast. Same thing here. If there's readings on that EMG, it's the same technology. Something needs to be done really fast if there's positive findings on there. And then we take a full spine x-ray to see how much damage is done in there. If you're like me and have degenerated disc in your neck, we want to see that. See how much damage there is. We're going to see how long it's going to take to get corrected, and then what direction that we need to adjust it. So that and go through that correction process. That's what we do initially to find out where that problem is, and then we're going to track you to make sure that you get better. Like if you get on a cholesterol medication, the doctor's going to say come back and we're going to retest it, right? That's what we want to do. We want to make sure that you're getting better, that we're moving the needle. And if you're not, then we'll figure something else out and try something else. But that's what we do in the office. And I know a lot of you are getting adjusted already or under care, but I know several of you aren't in here. And so this is the rubber meets the road. Are you going to take action or not? And the great thing about it is we have the guests, I think a blue folder. Let me look. There it is. The guests have a blue folder and a sheet in there. It's a white sheet that says schedule your consultation. And my goal is to get you to take action. That's my job. Because I know if your nervous system's working better, you're going to be healthier. That's it, period. And for the guests that aren't under care in here, you guys probably filled this out when you came in. So if you haven't yet, pull that out. People with the blue folder, pull that out and just fill out this top part. Circle any symptoms that you're having. And we're going to come back to this in just a minute. But what we want to offer today is normally if you come into the office, in our office, it's 2:30 for that first examination and consultation. Today for coming, I want to make it easy and affordable. You get it for $50 to come in and find out. That's all I'm asking. You don't have to start care. Just find out what your spine looks like. You find out with your eyes and your ears and dentist and your blood work, but you never find out what your spine looks like. So we're going to offer that to be able to come in and get your spine checked and get it healthy. But I'm going to have Dr. Drew share his story so he can share his amazing journey and welcome him to Des Moines. So, thank you.
First off, thanks for coming. This is really fun. When you're in chiropractic school, these are the type of days that you really want to be a part of. Adjusting and being in the office is always incredible. To see people come, spend a Saturday with us, and get to learn and grow is always incredible. So I'm originally from Keokuk, Iowa, in the southeast corner. I went to the University of Iowa, where I met my wife, who's back there in the back with our 1-year-old son. Yesterday was his first birthday, so and so in high school, as he said, I had a bunch of knee injuries and surgeries. I think I spent 3 out of the 4 years in high school on crutches. I kept tearing my knees up over and over and over again on sports, and I was just dumb enough to not actually think, hey, maybe I don't play sports anymore. My dad played Division I Big Ten football, and when you're in a small town like where I'm from, that's all you ever get compared to whatever else it was. So sports were my life. I kept having knee injuries through high school, and when I went to Iowa, I thought, well, I'll be an orthopedic surgeon, because he helped me out with my knees, and I thought I'll just study that and get to be to a point where I'm so nerdy about health that I really knew what I was doing. And so I thought that, and I felt that, and I was an entrepreneurship minor, so I wanted to figure out a way to try and blend business and medical or orthopedics. And I got to my senior year. I actually met my wife in my senior year of college. And something just didn't feel right about medical school. There was something that I wanted to have people be healthier and happier. And there's a lot of parts of the medical model that are awesome for acute situations. Like healing my knees was great for that. But there are certain parts that I just didn't believe in or didn't quite jive with. So right after that, I said, you know what, I'm going to build a startup right out of college and try and promote health through entrepreneurship. That was all going well. I actually went to, has anybody ever watched Shark Tank? I went to like a Shark Tank competition. I was like 22, sweating bullets, no idea what I was doing. And there's a lot of money on the line, so I was like, this sounds great, I'll do it. And it was like right about that time I started to feel really, really sick. Tried to hide it. 22, almost 23-year-old, thought I was Superman, thought I had health figured out, and I had a harsh reality. We were actually back in Sioux Falls, so my wife's from Northwest Iowa. We were in Sioux Falls shopping for her wedding dress. It was a Monday, I'll never forget this day, and I felt terrible. I had a lot of symptoms, whatever else it was, and I didn't quite know what to do. We ended up going to the emergency room on a Monday night, and some of my symptoms, just to go through them quickly, I had I lost my vision. I had a lot of swelling in my legs, really high heart rate, and just felt really, really bad. We went to the emergency room. They weren't even quite sure what was going on. They did a complete blood cell count, blood panel on me. And so typically for normal, healthy, average person, your white blood cell count is between 4,000 and 12,000. Those are actually meant to help protect your body. Ward off invaders, infections, things like that too. Instead of 4 to 12,000, my white blood cell count was 670,000. And that night I was diagnosed with leukemia. So I thought I had health totally figured out. I worked out all the time, ate what I thought was healthy foods. And in reality, I was sick up here, wasn't thinking nearly as positively as I should be, and I had some things from my surgeries that actually ended up being very harmful to my body. So they had put a pin in the middle of my shin, on my tibia, to try and reattach the ligament. My body actually rejected it. 10 years almost to the date, we go out to a clinic, and I'll explain that in a second, where they do a heavy metal toxicity report. My titanium levels were over 95%. So at this clinic was when I realized that there's a cause and effect to health, and even with cancer, and that I need to take ownership of it that day. So when we got diagnosed, my wife and I, we were engaged at the time, and we moved into her brother and sister-in-law's home, and he's a maximum chiropractor in Sioux Falls. So right when I got diagnosed, we just started living the 5 essentials every single day. And it was such a blessing and to have him in our life, and then to take us literally into their house and let us just start to live this. And I chose a clinic out in Reno, Nevada that did integrative, complementary, whatever word you want to use, oncology. And that's where I did all the testing and tested my hair for the toxicity and all that stuff. And I spent about 3 to 4 weeks out there and got well. Numbers went drastically down, started to feel better. I got my vision back. Those things started to all come back together. And it was the fall of 2014. I got into the math there. And I went back for my 3-month checkup, and the oncologists were surprised at how well I was doing. Now, going back, when I first arrived there, they said, "Oh, you're a max living patient. You know what max living is? You're going to do so well here." I firmly believe that from the time I spent out in Nevada to going back and doing my blood again, living the 5 essentials every single day, is what separated me from even the people that were doing some of the correct things, but didn't know about chiropractic, didn't know about the advanced plan, or whatever else it might be. So we went back. It was 3 weeks before our wedding, and I was told that my blood looks great and I was cancer-free. Something that we never promised, and something they never thought would even happen for us. So we ended up getting married. We have our son now, which is incredible. And I think when I was out at the clinic and coming back, a lot of friends and family members always they assumed I wanted to be an oncologist. Because it's this perfect story, you're a pre-med, you go to this oncology clinic, and in my heart, I knew that I want to help people prevent disease and get well and never have to get to the point and be as sick as I was. Because out in that clinic, it was tough. You saw people that were on their last thread. And so when I started thinking about what I want to do as a career and a profession, chiropractic made too much sense. Help the body heal and never have to get to the point where it's so sick. And especially being a max living, being in that environment and that culture, and see people actually get well and not just fade off and live it for a lifetime. So it took a lot of time there, but it's great to be here. Thanks for having me, thanks for supporting this office, and I'm excited for what's to come.
The reason I came to EP True Chiropractic was because my wife was trying to get me to come here for years and years, and I was too hard-headed and wouldn't do it. I wouldn't go to a doctor, let alone go to a chiropractor at the time. A couple of years ago, I was diagnosed as type 2 diabetic, and they gave me all kinds of pills. I started taking pills. I started having problems mainly with my feet. And numbness in my feet, and then sciatic nerve problem. Got to the point where I couldn't walk hardly at all at work, and when I got home I just basically sat around because my legs hurt so bad, my back hurt so bad. So I decided to give Dr. Miller a try. I was nervous when I came in. I was afraid what was going to happen, but the staff and everyone here made it so easy. When I had the adjustment, I walked out feeling way better just on that first visit, and now I've been doing it here for a couple months now. And really I've gotten rid of all the pain in my feet, all the numbness in my feet. The sciatic has gone away. I have a couple flare-ups every now and then, but pretty much I can walk, I can do everything I always wanted to do. I got off all the medication, the Advil that I was taking, it was messing up my stomach. And when I would tell men that are like me, that are hard-headed, I'd tell them to make sure, give it a try. Don't be afraid of it. It's quick, it doesn't take very long. I'm usually in and out in 15 minutes. Go try chiropractic. Go to the doctor too if you need to, but go to chiropractic. I was missing a lot of work and missing out on activities with my grandchildren. I couldn't go out and play baseball with them this past summer. I missed out a lot of things in life, and now I can do all that stuff.
Awesome. Another testimonial, Scott. And he said a lot of things in there, and one I forgot to, I want to thank my staff, number one, for putting on this event, because they are so let's give them a round of applause. They work so hard and they care so much. They're on this mission even more than I am, and I just can't thank the staff enough for doing all this. It's pretty amazing to be around the people that I get to be every single day. And then thank you for everybody for coming. I know braving the weather, it was kind of a crazy night last night. I was thinking, oh my God, what are we going to do? But now's the time to take action, and we're going to do a couple steps here. We want to get you committed, and just on my wife and I, Lanny, have been on some different journeys ourselves and going to things, and I never wrote anything down before. And I think that's a huge step in self-development and self-reflection on what you can do. You have to take action steps, because you guys are getting force-fed, like opened up the hose today with a bunch of information. And we need to take some time and write down and reflect on what you've learned so far. And so when you go home, it just doesn't get lost in your brain, that you have it down on paper so you can reflect and read it again and master those things that you're thinking of right now. So two things that we're going to do. One, we're going to go back to the guests here, that people that have a blue folder. What's going to happen is Aaliyah, Jana, Meg, and Jamie are going to come around and just talk to you guys about getting that appointment set up. And I know some of you have come from a long ways away, and I love it. And all I'm asking, just get your spine checked, make a trip back to Des Moines sometime to get that done. And then if we can refer you to someone in your area, we would be happy to do that. But let's just get the examination done and find out where you're at. And then I forgot to mention earlier, we are a very active office, so we will take the 50 special today, so you can reserve your spot. Yes, on the sheet. I'm getting help from my staff over here. See, if it wasn't for them, I'd be a mess. But there's a spot on there for family members. If there's family members that aren't here and you want to get them in, that includes them also. So the whole family. So while you're journaling, they'll come around. They're going to come in and just talk to you. Just hand them your sheet, whether it's yes or no. Just hand them their sheet. And if you have any questions, they will take care of any questions for you. But the 3 questions up there, so I want you guys, we're going to put on some light music, and you guys are going to journal and take some time to reflect about what you've learned. So first question, what is your number one goal in 2020 for nutrition? Why do you want to change this eating habit? You have to write down the why. What is the number one thing you say negatively about yourself? Why do you say it? And how can you change this negative into a positive statement? And then the last question, think about the 5 people that you want to be around the most. Who are they? List 5 people that you want to be around, that you want to spend time with. What is the number one trait that you can take from them to make you better? And it doesn't have to be somebody that you know. It can be somebody that you watch or follow, or somebody that, an author that wrote a book, or an actor or sports figure, whoever that is. Write them down and write down their trait. So we're going to spend some time journaling. My staff they're going to come in and talk to you. So let's put on some music and give them some time to write.
Everyone, whether you have a black folder or a blue folder, you should have some paper in there that you can journal on, and the questions are there again as a reminder. And in your swag bag, I know there's at least 2 pens if you didn't bring something to write with, so you should be equipped to go.